1. When facing unfair criticism can sting. It pokes at pride and challenges self-worth. But according to Stoic philosophy, this is precisely the moment where silence becomes strength. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "If something outside of you bothers you, it's not the thing itself, but your judgment of it." Rather than jumping to defend, explain, or argue, a silent response gives space for reflection and even transformation. It's not about being passive, it's about being composed. When someone criticizes unjustly, the silence you choose can often speak louder than your words. It's a quiet declaration that you are in control, not them. That silence allows your actual actions and character to stand as testimony to your truth. And often, when there's nothing to fuel the fire, it dies out on its own. So instead of feeding the tension, let silence be the buffer. It's a discipline, one that turns moments of tension into opportunities for grace, maturity, and philosophical mastery. Isn't that a better legacy than reactive outbursts? Second, amidst boasting, everyone knows someone who can't stop talking about their wins, fancy vacations, promotions, or luxurious purchases. It's tempting to one-up them or remind them that you've got achievements too. But here's where Stoicism invites a different path. Silence. When surrounded by boasting, silence doesn't mean you're invisible. It means you're centered. Stoic thinkers like Epictetus taught that real virtue doesn't need to announce itself. By choosing to stay quiet, you signal that your worth isn't tied to validation or comparison. Boasting, after all, often stems from insecurity. Silence, in contrast, reflects strength and internal security. You don't need to interrupt their monologue to prove anything. You let your actions, presence, and self-possession speak. And guess what? It often shifts the tone. People start to notice, not just your restraint, but your grounded nature. In a world that loves to shout, the person who's quietly content often stands out more. So next time you're in a room full of bragging, ask yourself, do you need to join in, or can your silence say it all? 3. In moments of anger. Anger flares up fast. It clouds judgment and urges retaliation. But silence in moments of anger isn't weakness, it's control. Stoics believed that mastering your emotions was the highest form of strength. Marcus Aurelius warned, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" When silence takes the wheel, it creates distance between stimulus and response. That space is gold. It helps you assess the situation, your emotions, and the long-term effects of what you might say. Think about a time you lashed out. Did it help, or did it leave regret in its wake? Choosing silence doesn't mean suppressing emotion. It means acknowledging it, but letting it simmer down before acting. It's an act of leadership over your own impulses. Whether it's a disagreement with a colleague or tension with a loved one, biting your tongue, even for a few seconds, can turn the tide. It's in those moments that your silence becomes a shield. It keeps your dignity intact, diffuses escalation, and lets wisdom guide what comes next. 4. When confronted with rumors. Rumors spread like wildfire, fueled by speculation, often detached from truth. The gut reaction is to clarify, defend, or confront. But what if silence works better? Stoic wisdom says, guard your energy. Marcus Aurelius taught, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. When rumors target you, choosing not to respond can be a bold, dignified stand. Instead of fanning the flames, you let them flicker out. You trust that your consistent actions and characters speak louder than counter-arguments. 5. Dealing with loss. Loss hits hard. Whether it's a person, a job, a dream, it leaves a vacuum. And in that space, silence settles in. Stoicism doesn't deny pain, it reframes it. Seneca said, "The day you fear as your last is the birthday of eternity." Grief needs space to breathe, and silence becomes that space. There's healing in sitting quietly with sorrow. No forced words, no rushed explanations, just presence. C.S. Lewis, in his reflections on losing his wife, described pain as the price of love. That's a Stoic truth. Deep loss exists because deep love existed. Silence honors that bond. It's a form of respect. For the person, for the moment, for yourself. It's also a time for reflection. What lessons can grief teach? What strength rises after mourning? Silence isn't avoidance. It's acknowledgement. It allows emotions to surface and fade without suppression. It invites resilience in its own time. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds us that healing isn't loud. It's slow, intentional, and quiet, just like silence itself. 6. Navigating ignorance. Dealing with ignorance can be frustrating, especially when someone speaks with confidence but lacks knowledge. It's easy to want to correct or confront, but the Stoic way, silence with a touch of grace. Marcus Aurelius taught that we only have control over our own minds, not others. Take Galileo as an example. While the world clung to outdated beliefs, he stayed grounded in truth. Even when punished for it, he often chose silence, not because he doubted himself, but because truth doesn't need constant defense. When you encounter ignorance, think about the long game. Will arguing change their mind, or will it drain your energy? Silence isn't giving up. It's choosing peace over fruitless conflict. It's about knowing when your words will plant seeds and when they'll fall on deaf ears. Graceful silence says, I know what I know, and I'm at peace with that. And often people will remember your calm more than your corrections. Isn't that a legacy worth leaving? 7. Facing injustice. Injustice stirs something primal, a cry for fairness, a desire to set things right. But Stoicism offers a powerful twist. Silence as a foundation for action. Nelson Mandela is a prime example. After 27 years in prison, he emerged not with vengeance but with peace. His silence wasn't surrender, it was preparation. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best way to avenge yourself is not to be like your enemy." When faced with injustice, silence can be strategic. It allows for observation, planning, and calm determination. It's not about ignoring wrongs, it's about making sure your response is not another wrong. Silence creates space for clarity, for the kind of wisdom that fuels lasting change. It shifts focus from emotional reaction to purposeful response. In a heated world, the quiet person calmly working for justice often ends up leading the real movement. So when faced with unfairness, ask, can silence help you build strength before your next step? 8. When insulted. Think of Gandhi. He was insulted, mocked, imprisoned, and yet he chose nonviolence, silent strength. That kind of restraint doesn't go unnoticed. It earns respect, not just from others, but from yourself. Silence in the face of insults tells the world, your words don't shake my worth. It's a boundary, a mirror, a statement. In time, those who hurl insults either fall silent or reveal more about themselves than you ever could. Why trade your peace for someone else's chaos? 9. During times of grief. Grief returns again and again. Not just in loss of life, but in transitions, disappointments, endings. And each time, it brings silence. That silence isn't empty. It's full of meaning. Stoicism doesn't rush grief. It honors it. It teaches that within pain lies growth, and within silence lies recovery. After all, what can words add to a moment of deep loss? Sometimes all that's needed is to be. Be present with the feeling. Be gentle with yourself. Be still. Gratitude can find its way into that stillness. Not immediately, but gradually. As Seneca taught, we can learn to reframe even the deepest sadness. What remains after grief fades? Strength, perspective, compassion. And that strength is forged quietly. That's the essence of Stoic silence. It doesn't erase grief. It makes room for healing. And in that quiet, there is space for remembrance. Space for love that continues, even without presence. It's not about forgetting, it's about transforming. Silence becomes the bridge between pain and peace. Embracing silence in these 9 situations aligns with Stoic principles, promoting inner strength, clarity, and resilience. Marcus Aurelius' teachings remind us that our responses define us more than the events themselves. By choosing silence thoughtfully, we cultivate a life of virtue and tranquility. If this exploration of Stoic wisdom resonates with you, consider subscribing for more insights into philosophy and personal growth. Share your thoughts in the comments below. How has silence played a role in your life? Don't forget to like and share this video to spread the power of Stoic silence.